2 years. 2 whole years on this case. Yet somehow, here I am, stunned to silence at the end. It really just isn't natural for someone to know how to speak about murder. Never mind pull together a whole speech about how I believe my client didn't take a man's life. I became an attorney because I couldn't stand by and watch innocent people go to prison for things they never even did. But honestly, how the hell am I supposed to be so sure? How do I know that Sadbh O'Connor did not kill her boyfriend? Is it just a gut feeling? Or some sense of justice? No, of course not. That would be too easy. In the past 2 years, I've been sat with questions almost daily. I have to look into the eyes of a woman who is scared, confused about what happens to her next as she gets dragged along, constantly proclaiming her innocence. A woman who, before all this, was all smiles and joy, now a shell of her former self. But just for the sake of things, let's go over what I do know. And what I do know is that Peter James, a generally well-liked individual, as his friends noted, was struck to the back of the head with a hammer in his own kitchen. The blow is believed to have killed him almost instantly. This doesn't seem like the fate a nice man deserved. The body of Mr. James was discovered only a few hours after the estimated time of death, when his friend, one Roxy Joyce, had come to visit Mr. James. I think Miss Joyce put it better when she spoke about it all.
Okay, Miss Joyce, please take it from the beginning.
I really don't know what else to say to you. I went around to check up on Peter at 1 and found him face down on the floor with blood coming out of his skull. What more could you possibly even need?
We understand this may be tedious, but we need to make sure all the facts are straight.
All I know for sure is Pete had a fight with Sadbh, and I thought the two of them were done. I mean, he really loved her, and she just broke his heart. How can someone do that?
What do you mean by that?
Pete always talked about how he was having issues with her. The two of them would start arguing about anything and everything lately. That bitch would have looked for any reason to lose her head at him.
So I can take the wild guess of saying the two of you didn't get along. But the part I still don't understand is why you think she killed him.
Are you for real? I mean, the woman would literally lose her head at Peter for not putting the towels in the right place. She has serious issues that he had to deal with. Give her the right reason, and I don't know what she could be capable of. She made his life so miserable. She doesn't, or I guess didn't, care for him. Plus, she's the only one with a key.
And that's it. There is the evidence that Miss Joyce has to offer. Just that she doesn't like Sadbh O'Connor and that she had a key. That doesn't spell cold-blooded killer to me, and it hardly places Sadbh at the scene. But that hardly explains her rage. When I first met Sadbh, she was scared. Really scared. The world was against her. She really had nothing to fight back at the world with, but that's not her job to do. It's mine. What is justice? What is right? What is wrong? I find myself asking these questions a lot lately. It's my job to try to believe in the good of people, but how far does that go? How can someone always know what is right and what is wrong? Maybe it's the law that decides that. Or maybe it's just people that do. I was young and very naive about this world when I started to do what I do. The world doesn't let you just help those who are truly innocent. Not really, anyways. Maybe I'm just cynical after all the lives I've seen walking in and out of courthouses. But that is too many maybes for me to be even remotely sure. Eventually, I was able to see Sadbh properly. She wasn't just the scared woman anymore. Reality hit her, and it hit her hard. It wasn't the world out to get her. No. There's nothing that abstract. Instead, it was people. People like Roxy Joyce, people who met an angry woman and decided from there that she was capable of being a killer. When I met Sadbh for the first time, I wasn't sure, but this time, I saw something else.
Miss O'Connor, I won't lie to you. This looks bad for you. But we want to make sure justice is done and right here. So please, just tell us how it happened.
You cannot be serious with that question. You're obviously trying to confuse her.
I'm doing my job. No more, no less.
Well, you could have fooled me. My client deserves some respect, thank you.
That doesn't change the fact this question needs answering.
No, please, it's fine. I can speak for myself.
All right then. Let us begin with where you were on the night of the murder.
I was out.
Out.
Yeah. Sorry, I guess you need more than that. I was out drinking. Me and Peter had an argument the day before, and I wasn't ready to speak to him yet, so I stayed out and went to a hotel that night.
Which she can prove with CCTV footage from the hotel showing she stayed the night.
I'm aware of the evidence, thank you. You and the deceased had a joint bank account. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Does anyone else hear that buzzing?
And for how long did you both share a bank account?
I think for 4, going on 5 years?
Is that including the time that Mr. James has been deceased or not?
I don't,
It's a fairly simple question.
Take your time. It's important that we get the facts here.
It's including the time that Peter has been dead.
After checking bank records, there are no records of your hotel booking or the trip to the pub. How did you pay for it all?
I always carry cash on me in case something like this happens. It doesn't seem fair to use our money if we're fighting.
So this need to have cash will come often.
I hardly see how my client carrying cash has anything to do with the case at hand. She is more than in her right to have her money on her.
Considering the fact that she only has cash for when she argued with the deceased, I'd say it has everything to do with this case. You say that you were at a pub. Can you tell me the name?
I honestly don't know. I just found the first place I could and went there.
So you went to a pub that you can't name, paid in cash so you can't prove you're even there.
As I said before, she can prove she was at that hotel.
Seriously, does anyone else hear that?
That proof you're talking about is footage that shows she arrived an hour after the estimated time of death.
The hotel is on the other side of the city to the crime scene. How could my client even get there and back?
By taking a taxi with the cash she conveniently has on her.
Accounts from staff say that she appeared drunk when she arrived. Do you honestly believe that someone can go from drinking to a murder and then back to a hotel in record time?
Please, can we just take a moment?
Drunk enough to go kill someone who she argued with constantly.
You obviously don't want to hear this story. This interrogation is done, thank you.
You don't get to decide that. May I remind you that Sadbh is in custody?
Custody or not, we are done here. Isn't that right, Sadbh? Sadbh?
Seems like she doesn't agree with you on this one.
Come on, Sadbh. You're just being bullied here. We need to step away from this and...
Would someone just stop the fucking buzzing?
And that is when I met the real Sadbh. A woman who gets pushed and gets angry. When I say I've had to ask myself, what is justice because of this case, I say it because of how Sadbh O'Connor was treated. No witnesses, no DNA evidence, just an alibi that can be spun to fit another narrative and speaking to one other person who already doesn't like her. That's all it takes to send her down as a killer. To be frank, there were moments that I even doubted Miss O'Connor. She really did have the world against her. But after that interrogation, after Miss O'Connor was pushed to her brink by a world that had already decided she was guilty, and she let her rage pop out, after all that I realised what justice is. Justice is truth. The truth that we are doing right by society and protecting those who need it. And the truth is, that same temper that others use to push Sadbh down, the temper that would apparently push her to kill a man, all that temper did was make her boil over so much that she had to cry. She was faced with her whole world crashing down in front of her, and she just wept. She didn't even want to harm the fly in the room. She just wanted it to stop. Sadbh O'Connor is a woman who was in an unhappy relationship that wasn't good for either party. That much is crystal clear. She constantly had to leave on her own, but yet always making sure that Peter James was going to be all right. She even refused to touch the money that they shared, only taking enough to make sure she would be safe and secure for a night or two. My only question is this. Can you, members of the jury, say beyond a shadow of a doubt that this woman is a killer? Because I can't.